Have you ever felt the cold grip of betrayal wrap around your heart, leaving you gasping for breath? Imagine standing at the crossroads of love and loyalty, where the people you trust the most become the ones who tear your world apart. This is my story, a tale of deception, heartbreak, and the fight to reclaim not just my love, but my very identity. It's a story that spiraled into chaos, forcing me to confront the darkest corners of my life and the people I thought I knew best. So, sit tight, and let me take you on this emotional roller coaster that changed everything. It was a summer day, the kind that makes you want to bask in the sun and forget about the world. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, and laughter echoed through the neighborhood as kids played outside. I was in my happy place, a small cafe just a few blocks from my house, sipping on a caramel latte and scrolling through my phone. That's when I saw her, Lisa. Her radiant smile lit up my screen, and my heart fluttered. We had been dating for a few months, and I was completely smitten. Every moment with Lisa felt like magic. We shared everything, our dreams, our fears, our favorite songs. I had never felt so connected to someone before. I remember the way her laughter would dance in the air, how her eyes sparkled with mischief. She was everything I had ever wanted, and I was determined to make our relationship work. But little did I know, lurking in the shadows was my brother, Jake, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Jake and I had always been close. Growing up, we were inseparable, two peas in a pod. We shared secrets, played video games for hours, and navigated the ups and downs of life together. I always thought he would be my biggest supporter, the one person I could count on no matter what. But as I fell deeper for Lisa, I began to notice a shift in Jake's behavior. It was subtle at first, just a hint of jealousy creeping into our conversations. At first, I brushed it off. Brothers tease each other, right? But as the weeks went by, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Jake would ask about Lisa more often, his questions tinged with an intensity that made me uneasy. I tried to convince myself that he was just being protective, that he wanted to make sure I was happy. But deep down, I felt a growing tension between us, a silent battle brewing beneath the surface. One night, after a particularly wonderful date with Lisa, I returned home to find Jake waiting for me. He was pacing the living room, his expression a mix of frustration and something darker. I could feel my heart pounding as I approached him, unsure of what to expect. "Where have you been?" he snapped, his voice sharp. "You've been spending so much time with her that it's like you've forgotten about your own brother." I was taken aback. "What are you talking about? I'm still here. I'm just trying to enjoy my life with Lisa." He shook his head, disbelief etched across his face. "You think she's good enough for you? You're just going to throw away everything we've built over some girl?" His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had never seen Jake like this before. The brother I knew was gone, replaced by someone consumed by jealousy and anger. I tried to defend myself, to explain how much Lisa meant to me, but he wouldn't listen. Instead, he accused me of being selfish, of abandoning him for a girl. The confrontation left me reeling. I felt a mix of confusion and anger as I retreated to my room, trying to process what had just happened. Was Jake really jealous of my relationship? Did he want Lisa for himself? I couldn't fathom the idea, but the more I thought about it, the more I started to doubt everything. Days turned into weeks, and the tension between Jake and me only grew. He became increasingly hostile, making snide comments about my relationship, questioning my worthiness in Lisa's eyes. I wanted to confront him, to ask him what was really going on, but a part of me was terrified of what I might uncover. I kept telling myself it was just brotherly rivalry, that he was simply looking out for me. But then came the day that shattered everything. I returned home after spending a lovely afternoon with Lisa, only to find Jake waiting for me again. This time, his arms were crossed, and his eyes were filled with a storm of emotions. "You need to stop seeing her," he demanded, his voice low and menacing. "You're not good enough for her, and you're just going to ruin everything." I felt my heart drop. "Jake, you don't get to decide who I can or can't see. You're my brother, not my keeper." He scoffed, the anger radiating off him like heat from a fire. "You're too blind to see what's happening. She's using you, and I'm the only one who cares enough to tell you the truth." The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. My own brother was throwing me out over a girl. I felt lost, abandoned, and utterly heartbroken. I spent the night at a friend's place, replaying the events in my head, trying to make sense of it all. I had to know the truth. I couldn't let Jake's accusations go unanswered. The next few days were a blur of emotions. I reached out to Lisa, hoping to find solace in her presence, but even that felt tainted. I could sense the distance growing between us, as if Jake's words had created an invisible barrier. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was somehow manipulating the situation, turning her against me. It was maddening. Determined to uncover the truth, I started paying closer attention to Jake's actions. I watched him interact with Lisa, noting the way his eyes lingered on her, the way he smiled just a bit too wide. It was in those moments that I began to see the truth unraveling before me. He was lying, not just to me, but to himself. The realization hit me like a freight train. Jake didn't just want to protect me. He wanted Lisa for himself. One evening, I decided to confront him. I needed to know if my suspicions were correct. I found him sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone, a smug look plastered on his face. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation. I laid out everything I had observed, every detail that pointed to his deception. But instead of the guilt I expected to see, he laughed it off, dismissing my concerns as paranoia. That was the moment I realized that I had to take matters into my own hands. I devised a plan to catch him in his lies. I started documenting everything, his interactions with Lisa, the subtle manipulations he employed to drive a wedge between us. I couldn't let him win. I had to expose him for who he truly was. Days turned into weeks, and the tension continued to rise. I felt like I was living in a twisted game of cat and mouse, where every move I made was calculated, every word I spoke a potential weapon. I managed to keep Lisa close, but the weight of Jake's betrayal loomed over me like a dark cloud. Then came the unexpected twist. One night, while reviewing my notes, I stumbled upon a message on Jake's phone. It was a conversation between him and a mutual friend, discussing how he had been trying to sabotage my relationship with Lisa. I couldn't believe my eyes. This was the proof I needed. The betrayal was deeper than I had ever imagined. With my heart racing, I confronted Jake again, this time armed with undeniable evidence. I laid everything out before him, watching as the color drained from his face. He stammered, trying to come up with excuses, but I could see the truth reflected in his eyes. The brother I had known my entire life was gone, replaced by someone consumed by jealousy and deceit. In that moment, I felt a mixture of triumph and sorrow. I had uncovered the truth, but at what cost? The bond we once shared had been shattered, and I knew things would never be the same. I made the decision to cut ties, to walk away from the toxicity that had invaded our lives. As I sat in that cafe, reflecting on everything that had transpired, I felt a sense of loss wash over me. I lost my brother, my home, and a part of myself in this battle. But I also found strength I never knew I had. I learned that love can be a double-edged sword, capable of bringing both joy and pain. I thought about Lisa, the girl who had brought so much light into my life. I wanted to reach out to her, to explain everything, but a part of me hesitated. Would she believe me? Would she see the truth behind Jake's lies? I knew I had to try. I decided to invite her to the cafe, the same place where we had shared so many happy memories. As I waited for her to arrive, I felt a mix of anxiety and hope. Would she understand? Would she still want to be with me after everything that had happened? When Lisa walked in, my heart skipped a beat. She looked beautiful, her hair cascading over her shoulders, her smile brightening the dimly lit room. But I could see the uncertainty in her eyes as she approached me. I could sense the distance that Jake had created between us, and it hurt. Hey, she said softly, taking a seat across from me. I've been thinking a lot about everything. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. I know things have been weird between us, and I want to explain. As I poured my heart out, recounting everything that had happened, I could see her expression shift from confusion to understanding. I told her about Jake's jealousy, his manipulation, and the evidence I had uncovered. I watched as her eyes widened in disbelief, the realization dawning on her. I can't believe he would do that, she said, shaking her head. I thought he was just looking out for you. He was, but not in the way you think. He wanted you for himself, Lisa. He was trying to drive a wedge between us. Tears welled up in her eyes as she processed everything. I didn't want to believe it. I thought I was losing you because of something I did. No, it wasn't you. It was him. I should have trusted you more, and I'm sorry for that. In that moment, I could see the walls we had built around ourselves begin to crumble. We talked for hours, sharing our fears and hopes, rediscovering the connection that had drawn us together in the first place. It felt like a weight had been lifted, and I could finally breathe again. But as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the cafe, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a long journey. I had confronted Jake, but the fallout was far from over. I knew I had to face him one last time, to put an end to the lies and reclaim my life. The next day, I found myself standing outside our childhood home, my heart pounding in my chest. I had spent countless hours in this place, creating memories that now felt tainted by betrayal. I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Jake answered, his expression a mix of surprise and defiance. What do you want? I stepped inside, my resolve hardening. We need to talk. I laid everything out, recounting the evidence I had found, the lies he had spun, and the pain he had caused. I watched as his facade began to crack, the bravado fading as he realized the truth was out. You don't understand, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. I was trying to protect you. I thought I was helping. Helping? By trying to sabotage my relationship? You were consumed by jealousy, Jake. This isn't about protecting me. It's about your own insecurities. The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the conflict raging within him, the brother I once knew battling against the jealousy that had taken over. But I knew I couldn't save him. I had to save myself. I'm done, Jake, I said, my voice steady. I can't have someone like you in my life. You've shown me who you really are, and I won't be a part of it anymore. As I walked away, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. It was painful to sever that bond, but I knew it was necessary for my own healing. I had faced the darkness, confronted the betrayal, and emerged stronger on the other side. In the following weeks, I focused on rebuilding my life. I spent more time with Lisa, and we grew closer than ever. I introduced her to my friends, and we created new memories together, ones that were free from the shadows of jealousy and betrayal. We explored new places, tried new foods, and laughed until our sides hurt. It felt like I was finally living again. But even as I embraced this new chapter, I couldn't escape the haunting memories of my brother. I missed the good times we had shared, the laughter, the camaraderie. I found myself reminiscing about our childhood, the countless adventures we had embarked on together. It was hard to reconcile the brother I had loved with the person he had become. One day, while I was out running errands, I bumped into an old friend from high school, Sarah. She was full of energy, her laughter infectious. We started chatting, and before I knew it, we were reminiscing about old times. As we talked, she mentioned seeing Jake around town, looking lost and withdrawn. "Have you talked to him?" she asked, concern etched on her face. I shook my head, the pain of our fractured relationship still fresh. "I can't. He's changed too much." "But he's still your brother," she insisted. "Maybe he's just struggling to cope with everything." Her words lingered in my mind long after we parted ways. Could it be that Jake was suffering too? I had been so focused on my own pain that I hadn't considered his. I knew I needed to confront my feelings, to understand what had happened to the brother I once knew. After much contemplation, I made the decision to reach out to him. I sent a simple text, asking if he wanted to meet up for coffee. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I knew it was time to face the truth, no matter how painful it might be. When he replied, agreeing to meet, I felt a mix of anxiety and hope. I arrived at the cafe early, my heart racing as I waited for him. The familiar scent of coffee wafted through the air, but it couldn't mask the tension that filled the room. When Jake walked in, he looked different, haggard, worn down by the weight of his choices. I gestured for him to sit, and for a moment, we simply stared at each other, the silence heavy with unspoken words. "Thanks for coming," I finally said, breaking the ice. He nodded, his expression guarded. "I didn't think you'd want to see me again." "I didn't either," I admitted. "But I think we need to talk. About everything." As we began to speak, I could see the walls he had built around himself start to crumble. He confessed to feeling lost after everything that had happened, admitting that he had let jealousy consume him. He spoke of his regrets, how he had pushed me away instead of supporting me. It was a raw and honest conversation, one that I had longed for but never thought would happen. "I'm sorry for everything, man," he said, his voice breaking. "I was so caught up in my own insecurities that I couldn't see how much I was hurting you." I could feel the anger I had harbored begin to fade, replaced by a sense of understanding. "I get it, Jake. But you have to understand that what you did was unforgivable. You betrayed me in a way I never expected." "I know," he replied, tears welling in his eyes. "I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just want you to know that I'm working on myself. I want to be better." It was a small step, but it was a step nonetheless. We spent the next few hours talking, reminiscing about our childhood, and slowly rebuilding the bridge that had been burned. It was clear that we had a long way to go, but I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. As we parted ways that day, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. I had confronted the pain, faced the betrayal, and opened the door to healing. It wouldn't be easy, but I was willing to try. I had learned that love, in all its forms, was worth fighting for, even the love between brothers. In the following months, Jake and I began to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of tension and uncertainty as we navigated our new dynamic. But we were both committed to making it work. We started hanging out again, playing video games, and sharing our lives with each other. It felt good to have him back, even if it was in a different capacity. As for Lisa, our relationship blossomed. We grew closer, and I found myself falling deeper in love with her. I introduced her to Jake, and while there was an initial awkwardness, they eventually found common ground. It was a relief to see them getting along, and I felt a sense of pride in how far we had all come. One evening, as I sat on the couch with Lisa, I reflected on the journey we had taken together. "You know, I never thought I would be able to forgive Jake," I admitted. "But I think we're making progress." She smiled, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "It takes time, but I believe in both of you. Family is important, and it's clear that you both care for each other." Her words resonated with me, and I felt a renewed sense of hope. I had learned that love could heal even the deepest wounds, but it required patience, understanding, and a willingness to confront the truth. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the room, I took Lisa's hand in mine. "No matter what happens, I won't let jealousy or betrayal come between us again. I've learned my lesson." She squeezed my hand, her smile reassuring. "We'll face everything together. I promise." And with that promise, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. I had faced the darkness, confronted the betrayal, and emerged stronger on the other side. I had learned that love can be complicated, but it's worth fighting for when it's real. To my audience, I ask you this. How do you rebuild when everything you once held dear has been taken from you? How do you move forward when the people you trust the most turn against you?